Pineapple juice, I love my pineapple juice. Hello, welcome back to the Busking podcast with me, Dawna. This is episode 5. We're 5 episodes in. That's crazy. I'd say we're just over 2 weeks of doing this. I'm really enjoying it, actually. Special request before I kick off. Can you please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with some kind words or some mean words? I don't mind, as long as you leave us 5 stars. It really helps with like charting. Same on Spotify, if you could leave us like a 5-star review. I know you can't write anything there, but just drop the 5 stars. It takes a second, so please do. Or whatever you're listening on, if you're able to rate the podcast, please give us some glowing reviews. That would be amazing. We have charted in Ireland a few times, and then we've charted in Canada and Switzerland. Sweden. We have less than 1% listeners in Switzerland, and it's definitely Roger Federer. I do not care what anyone says. Roger Federer, in my dreams, is listening to the podcast in his retirement going, I'm done with tennis. Definitely want to pick up busking. Yeah, he's going to be an indie artist next year. Probably be pretty good at it too. I'd say he'd be good at anything he does. Anyway, that's one thing boxed off. The other thing, and it's going to be pretty much the subject of today's podcast, is I have my debut co-headline gig with my friends Jane and Abe Suara in Whelan's on the 3rd of November. So I'm not too sure how many tickets have sold yet. We're getting sales reports tomorrow, but there's only 50 tickets in its entirety for the room. So once those 50 tickets are gone, we'll have sold it out, and that's the aim. If you would like to come see me or Jane or Abe Suara live, grab one of those tickets. It's going to be my last headline gig before I have a baby. So probably this side of Christmas, it's going to be my last headline gig. And I'm supporting Niall McNamee in Cork on the 4th of November. So if you'd like to see myself or Niall and you're from Cork, grab one of those tickets. It's in Winthorpe Avenue in Cork. The Whelan's gig is in their small venue, Little Whelan's. It's a 50-seater. So that's going to be amazing. Cannot wait. Loads planned. Going to play some old songs, some new songs, and lots more. Today's episode is all about putting on headline gigs. So if you're thinking about putting on your first headline gig in the near future or in the distant future, if you're trying to figure out whether you're ready to do a headline gig or a co-headline gig like we're doing now, myself, Jane and Abe Suara, hopefully this podcast will give you some insight into what kind of preparation you need to put in and what kind of rooms you should book, all that stuff. The first thing you probably need to look at when you're booking a headline gig is, do you have a headline set prepared? Have you practiced your own set live enough to carry, I'm going to say, an hour? Should you have an hour? I would think so. For a headline gig, you should probably be doing an hour. And compare this to gigs you've gone to, whether you're doing it acoustically. For me, where I am, I'm looking at small rooms, very much playing an acoustic set, acoustic guitar, piano. I definitely feel I do have a smooth hour I can do where people will watch and time will go like that. Because if you're doing an hour and it's really starting to drag, people are losing focus on it, then you probably need to punch it up. You need to maybe get some support slots in, you need to hit some open mics and work on the parts of your act that aren't so smooth. Busking, work on a full hour, like literally practice your set and see if it can connect on the street. That's what I'm going to be doing the next 3.5 weeks for this Whelan's gig on the 3rd of November. And that's really, really important. You want people leaving the gig going, that was amazing. That guy should be playing, or that girl should be playing in theatres. That girl should be opening for arena acts. They should be leaving the room feeling that they want to see you in a bigger venue. They want to see you move up. Whether they will or not, obviously depends on sales and depends on your mass appeal. But yeah, if you can put on a set that blows people away, chances are you'll be able to scale that ladder much quicker. And trust me, venue owners, venue promoters, if they're coming to your gig, even if the gig isn't sold out, even if the room isn't full, if you can put on a show for, say our room now, the room in Whelan's is 50 people. So say 20 people turn up. If I, or if Jane, or if Ib Suara can put on a set that blows those 20 people away, I'm telling you, that venue owner or that booker will be so up for booking us again, will be up for getting us for support for bigger acts in the main room or in the upstairs. Do not take the practice you need to put into your set for granted. I mean, if people are spending money to come and see you, then you need to give them a show. And I know that should go unsaid, but like I have been in rooms where people have underprepared. It's rare, like it is rare that someone will be headlining a show, especially if they're selling out the room. And look, I know I've seen Jane and Ib Suara play loads of times. They smash it. They're live performers. So there's no, I've played live loads myself, so I know that this co-headline gig is just going to be so much fun. I'm so excited for the energy like the three of us are going to bring, and I'm sure we're going to do a couple of numbers together. Well, we're definitely going to do one song together, and I'm looking forward to that so much. And that's always a great sign too, right? Because like, okay, yeah, it's great smashing it on your own, but if you're actually having fun and playing music to a high quality with your friends, like that kind of stuff is magic in a room. I just can't wait to do it. Anyway, I'm getting off tangent here. What I'm really saying to focus on is make sure if you're doing an original gig that you have a really strong hour. And if it's not, then that's probably the first sign you're not ready to put on a gig. Second thing to look at, obviously, is can you fill a room? What size room should you be booking? And this is really hard because where I am, in some places, I haven't even played a show there, never mind a headline show. So I would always say it's better to book a small room and fill it out than to book a big room and say say we're going to Cork. So I would be more than happy to book a room with 20 people and then go down to Cork, Busking, and advertise it and do some online advertising and fill a room with 20 people. I mean, if you can bounce off 20 people in a small room, that's so much better than, say, trying to book Cypress Avenue, which is probably 200 plus, and having, 30, 40 people in there. It's always better to start small and build up. And look, sometimes starting small for someone is Cypress Avenue. We see it all the time. A song blows for an artist and their very first tour is just sold out in those what would be considered small rooms for some people, not for me. Like a small room for me would be anywhere from 10 people to even 50 people is probably a big room for me at the moment. Hence why we're doing a co-headliner, so we can all kind of put the effort into filling the room. But yeah, for some of these acts that blow on radio, I suppose Keen the Crow is probably a really good example now, and he's playing Cypress Avenue, and even next year he's booked a tour. I think he sold out 2 dates in Cork, so that now is probably considered a small venue for him. He can probably jump up to a Cork Opera House, really. That song has blown up so big for him. And you see that with artists that are signed. If they have a song go viral or they have a song that's blowing on radio, they do have the capacity to book out these great live rooms and fill them pretty easily. For them, they're going to do like a downstairs in the Academy and fill 120 people in there, and they might do that 2 or 3 times and then jump to the upstairs in the Academy and then jump to the Olympia. Or that makes so much more sense than jumping straight to the Olympia and it's half full. And this kind of stuff goes without saying, I suppose, in a way, but people do book a room too big for them, and what can you do? I suppose, like the main headline show I did last year in the Kenyon, usually people, when they put on big shows in the Kenyon, they have it standing, and I'd say they can fit 500 people in that room. Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to fill it, so I was like, right, we'll put in the tables. I'll put on 100 tickets, and even if the 100 tickets don't sell, it's seated. It's nice candlelit kind of vibe. The stage and lighting is really professional, so anyone that comes is going to have a really good time. And Like, look, it was COVID times. I was kind of looking to break even at cost, which was at about 40 tickets. And I think we did 67 tickets in total. And again, I suppose some people would look at that as a loss. And we're moving into kind of cost area now. But anyway, the main thing was the people that did come to that show, it was definitely better than anything I'd done before. There was an amazing light show. My live set that I put on, I really, really put a lot into it. I had opened for 3 big headliners in the months leading up and tested the set to pieces. Like the sound, I got the Spains for sound, so the sound was probably better than anyone had heard me do before. Everything was just set up so people were actually talking about the show after. If people come to a show and spread word of mouth that, hey, this guy, I know he's local and all, but that was worthy of, say, going to a headline show in Limerick or something, that spreads. Word of mouth is so powerful. That's why I busk on the street, because connecting like that in a live sense is so much more powerful than, say, some guy seeing you on Instagram. And the only thing I think more powerful than that word of mouth is the radio blowing up one of your songs. It's still so relevant. Again, I'll go back to Keen the Crow, but that song, and I suppose that song went viral on TikTok first. And also that's the new word of mouth, right? When you blow on radio, or when a song goes viral on TikTok to a crazy degree, and I'm talking a couple of million views. Like, I've had a couple of thousand views in some of my songs on TikTok, and trust me, it doesn't translate that much to streams or to ticket sales. I still find the people that come to shows have seen me busking on the street, or have seen me play live in a pub, or I've met them. Literally, I've met them and said, oh yeah, I did this, and had a face-to-face conversation. I know we're talking about what rooms to book, and I've probably picked a room too big for me. Now, the beauty of that room is that it's my hometown, and like negotiating cost factors and all. Really, if I am covering the cost of sound and lighting, and I'm doing it on a night that isn't one of their standard like main take nights, then the cost of the room is very low. Pretty much they're happy to give me the room for nothing, as long as I'm bringing people in and it's not costing them anything to bring people in. And yeah, I'm like pretty much with tickets there, I'm just about in profit, to be honest. And I'm never one to talk really about money. Like I don't put on original shows to make money at the moment at all. Maybe in 2 or 3 years time that will come into me making good profit from my own shows. But at the moment it's all about just breaking even, putting on a great show, and each show building and each song that comes out helping the live show spread. So for me, it's all like, the reason I write music is I have no choice. When I am kind of chilling out and I have nothing going on, I end up writing music. So I feel like that's no choice. And then the reason I like to build up the production around the songs is because I feel like I have a message to give out that other people might find helpful. And everything beyond that is just to play live, because that's my absolute love, is playing original music live, figuring out how to make a song get people to jump with energy, how like a song can just have someone in tears, or how a song can just connect with a group of people and make us all feel the same thing. That's why I make music, pretty much. Yeah, rambling a bit, but you get the idea. And the last thing I'll say, just to wrap it all up, is try keep your costs low, especially when you're starting, because touring is quite expensive. So again, that helps with the smaller rooms. You'll often find with like venues that do these smaller rooms, I mean, it shouldn't cost you a lot to rent a very small room. And that's why also we're doing this gig in Dublin. Keeping costs low, we're splitting it 3 ways. We'll all drive up together, so that keeps diesel low. All these things that you do have to think about them. So it's not a huge stress on you to make money. And I'd say, like, I can say for myself, like, I'm not doing the show to make any cash. It's not about that. It's about putting on a good show for good people. And I suppose the reason you put on tickets, I've done shows for free. Like, I would pay the cost of the room and sound and all and put on a show for free. But honestly, I've done that. And some people just show up and they have no interest in the music at all. And there's nothing worse than people being in the room and having no interest. I mean, I do cover gigs all the time and to make a wage, and like that's what happens there. So if I wanted people to come and not listen and not be engaged with what's going on and the actual show, then I just go do a cover gig. And I go busk and just let people walk by, and those who want to stop will stop. So yeah, the reason you put kind of a ticket price on is just so those who actually want to come will, and people that choose to be in the room are there to listen and there to engage and have a bit of crack and sing a little bit, for sure. Don't want to sound too like, oh, if you're not going to listen, don't come. Because, I mean, I've been in shows where sometimes just it gets chatty in the room, and that's fine. And that's on me to be okay with or not okay with. And heckling is hilarious when it happens. I've seen massive headliners deal with hecklers in a brilliant way over the last 2 years. But yeah, ticket price just means, I don't know, you can run a cost, and hopefully the people that do buy tickets really want to engage and listen. So yeah, look at your costs and just try keep them as low as you can. Again, another, like having a full band. I mean, very hard to have a full band unless you're, clearing 60, 70 tickets. And I'm talking like my ticket cost is obviously like, the ticket cost for Whelan's is €12. So I mean, each person in a band on the night should be making anywhere between €100 to €200. And it's very hard to pay 4 or 5 people in a band if you're barely making €500-600 off the door. And then you're talking venue costs, sound costs, they're there all the time. And then another €400 or €500 on the band, then you're in the negative. And look, plenty of people will run. There's a really good blog post about this, like a full band. They were big, like they were doing big rooms, and they brought like a 7-piece band on the road, and they lost money on their tour, sold out tour. And they lost money on their tour, but they did that because they wanted their fan base to have a really great experience, and they were making money on YouTube and on streaming, so they were happy to lose money on the tour. And that happens a lot of people. Hosier, when he went to the States the first time, this is after Take Me to Church came out, I think it was a sold out theatre tour, and after like playing full band, lighting, sound and visas, so he's probably paying a visa for all the band as well, I think he was sold out theatre tour, so we're talking 600 to 1,200 people every night listening, and he lost money on an American tour. That's crazy. Now, I know that's in the US, and it's far more expensive to tour there for someone from Ireland or from Europe or from the UK than it is to tour in, say, Europe or to tour in Ireland. I'd say it's pretty pricey to tour in the UK at the moment. I don't know what the visa situation is. I think if you're Irish, we have the Good Friday Agreement and all, so we can actually still go over there without paying a visa, but I'm not sure. And I think it's very difficult for someone from the UK to tour in Europe right now because of Brexit. Again, I'm not sure, but I definitely have heard of like problems getting gear into the UK and paying customs and all that, and same for a UK artist going to Europe or going to Ireland. Not sure, but still, even if like you're touring in Ireland, like diesel costs will rack up, or petrol, whatever you're doing, accommodation, food, all this stuff. I mean, if you're not filling the room, it's all going to add up. Now, Ireland's small, so unless you're going, say, up to Donegal or up to Belfast, you can probably drive up and drive back within the day to whatever venue you're playing. Now, I'm from Tipperary, so that's like a Midlands all the way up there. It's about 3.5 hours to the furthest point north. I usually say down when I'm going up north, and I like get corrected all the time by my bandmate and by my missus, so they'll be proud of me for saying up north. But yeah, these costs can rack up, so it's worth looking at. Say if you're just starting out, putting on your own shows around these different places, it's worth finding someone else you can go tour with, and you can like split costs. It's worth maybe being a bit using your imagination in terms of accommodation. Like I would have, if I was going to Donegal, I would have no problem sticking a mattress in the back of that van and sleeping there for the night and finding some place to brush my teeth and have a shower the next day. I will 100% be doing that in the future, and I want to do like a busking tour in the UK. So 100% going to be doing that. I will let you know how I get on with it, but yeah, you can use your imagination to bring down costs. Hit up friends, see if they have a couch you can stay on. All these kind of things do have to be taken in, and that's why some artists never tour, because it's just too expensive. Like, I always end up bringing up Ross on this podcast, but he is kind of the king of indies making music. I think he was saying it costs like 3 million for him to tour in terms of like travel, accommodation, lights, sound, but he makes, I don't know, you can probably double that. But still, like, he could just sit at home and make money off his streaming royalties, or make money off his merch, or any of that. And lots of people who have crazy successful careers, that's how they run it. But I think most of us making music, we want to play that music for the most amount of people we can. And I don't know why. I really do appreciate those people that make killer music and could tour in multiple areas and they don't. But for me, that's just always been the thing I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to go to as many countries as possible and play my music for as many people as possible. Maybe it's just because I saw my idols do it. Maybe it's some type of narcissism that you want people to stand there and sing the words to your songs. Don't know. I think it's more down to what you've seen and the people you admire, you want to kind of follow in their footsteps. That could be a big thing. And then just to connect with a huge crowd and have a song that connects that much that you could have thousands of people screaming the words. That's always been a dream. So maybe that's why. Who knows? One more thing, I guess, before I do finish is, how do you book these kind of rooms? Like, how do you get into Whelan's? How do you get into Dolan's? How do you get into Cypress Avenue? And all I can say is you build relationships. And I haven't built a lot of those relationships yet myself. Most of the relationships I've built has been from busking. And to be fair, it wasn't me that booked this Whelan's gig. That was one of the other two that had the relationship to book in there in Whelan's. And look, I'm sure you could just send a cold email and say what you can do. Say, this is my music. That's what I've always done for any gigs I've booked. For my local show, like, I have a relationship with the owners of the venue, and I have a relationship with the people I got for sound and lighting. So I actually do cover gigs in the front bar of the Kenyon, is where I did my local show. So I have like the contact of the manager, and we can talk about dates and say, okay, will this suit, will that suit? Oh, you're running this event on that night. I heard a great thing the other day. The music business is a relationship business. So, and I suppose most businesses are, but really here it counts, because if someone has a good experience with you, and even if you don't do the big numbers on tickets, if you're a nice person to deal with and you put on a good show, then that promoter is going to be happy enough to get you back and see if you can try increase the number of tickets you can sell, or like increase the amount of people you can get into a room. And I have contacts in Limerick for my gigs, and that's always been that way too. I've met the people that book the rooms, and we've had a pint, or we've had the chats, and that, again, it's a real life connection. That's what's important. So I would say just be nice to everybody, genuinely, because yeah, if you get a reputation for being a bit of a dick, it's going to be very hard to book these kind of shows. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this gave you some insight into what you should be thinking about if you're looking at booking a headline show. Maybe it shone some light on some areas you haven't thought about yet. And yeah, for anybody not even in the music industry, I hope you found it interesting, like the back end of headline shows and the business behind it all. For all my social media, Dawn Music, please leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed this. And yeah, Whelan's, 3rd of November. It's a Thursday. I hope to see some of you there. Peace. I'll be making mine while you sit and wonder.